Okay, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. So today we're going to talk about probably one of the most contentious items in Arma Reforger. And as you can see, it's sitting here on my back. The whole purpose of this video is to pretty much talk about some of the changes that have been made to the radio pack. As you know, if you've been playing Arma for a long time, the radio backpack, it seems to be changed every second update or so. So I just kind of want to go through what it was, what it is now, and kind of my thoughts and opinions on what it could be, as well as getting your guys' opinions, because I think that's what matters most, is having sort of giving you guys the information and sort of forming your own opinion and expressing that here on the channel. I'm going to just quickly go over how the backpack used to work. The backpack used to run off a supply system. The backpack would spawn with a set amount of supply. I think it was 100. And you could spawn off that using the supply and replenish it either with a vehicle nearby or actually putting the supplies within the backpack. Now, in experimental, this has changed. It's actually now a ticket system. So every radio backpack has 3 tickets. One player can, use the backpack 3 times, or 3 players can use the backpack once. And then after 10 minutes, the backpack will regenerate a ticket. I don't know if it's all 3. I think it's 1 every 10 minutes. But that is how it currently works in the game. So I'm just going to show you in the top right there. It says 3 out of 3 respawns. And I can't deploy because I'm not actually playing as a character. I'm just commanding in Zeus. There's been a lot of chatter about how this can change. And, there's a lot of people made a lot of valid points. And some people made some not so valid points, but I just kind of want to put my 2 cents out there, because I feel like this item is probably doing more damage than it is being useful. And it's not also directly, it's quite indirect. So with how these have changed now, and using them as like pretty much a mobile spawn point, I think most of my opinions here are going to be sort of based off the new HQ conflict mode, where you're able to build bases and have a commander and all of that other good stuff. I feel like this radio backpack kind of undermines that in a sense. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that probably would disagree purely for gameplay purposes, and I understand that and I respect that. But I feel like, especially with HQ conflict, where it's supposed to be sort of more of a hardcore tactical teamwork based experience, this sort of undermines it in its current state anyway. So a lot of people made valid points saying that with the supply system, with the old supply system, it was a lot more teamwork oriented. They required more work, and I would agree. I feel like having a radio operator, getting someone to do supply, I mean, you could all do it yourself, I suppose, but it created micro goals, right? So it enhanced the team play in that regard. Having micro goals, I think, is one of the most crucial things, especially for a game like Arma Reforger. As an example, if you guys have been following a game called Bellum, they are trying to really emphasize micro goals. For example, like having crew operated weapons, so like the machine guns, being able to have 2 people operating a machine gun, where the second one is actually continuously loading the belt for the machine gun as it's firing, instead of just like operating it out of a box magazine. So that's a micro goal, and it creates, teamwork and rewarding gameplay. And I feel like for the radio, the way the radio works as a spawn is kind of takes away them, and also sort of devalues your player's life. So, if you are attacking an objective, you place down your spawn radio, you go, well, at least I can spawn here 3 times, or however many times, right? So that sort of devalues your character's life, knowing that you can spawn 2 times as a rifleman, for example, and then on the 3rd spawn you go, oh, I need to reset my radio, so I'll spawn in as a radio operator, get a free radio on my backpack, destroy the one I just spawned on, and then put another one down. So you know what I mean? It creates like this loop of kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's just a little cheesy, right? So what could possibly change? For me personally, I'd love to see the spawning ability taken away completely, but I know for a gameplay perspective that that's not going to happen. I feel like the backpack radio, in my personal opinion, just used as primarily as a long-range communication device. Because obviously these radio backpacks have a larger connection radius compared to the handheld radios like the PRC 68. Here, let me put it like this. I feel like that the radio backpack sort of devalues the player-built bases in HQ Conflict. What's really, what's really the point in just being able to spawn on them if you can have this radio? Let me give you this hypothetical. You spawn on a base and you know where your next enemy objective is. You proceed to that objective, and in this hypothetical, let's say that the radio backpack doesn't work as a spawn point. So between you going from your base to the enemy objective, you want to value your character's life a bit more because it takes you effort to get there. It takes you effort to do what you're doing. And if you die, then, it's a kick in the nuts. What I feel like the radio does is it takes away that sense of realism. In this hypothetical, let's say you die, your squad dies. You go, okay, all well and good. Let's spawn back at this base, just reevaluate for a second, and see how we can approach this differently. Because what the radio backpack does, and I find it very, very, very often in conflict games, is that when you wipe out the squad that's put down the radio backpack nearby to this objective, they just keep coming in the same waves, through the same amount of trees, through the same forest. It just creates this never-ending sort of wave of individuals, maybe one or two guys, maybe one guy, just, over and over again. And it really takes away that large-scale sort of big effort pushes. It just creates sort of like a solo gameplay element. You do see a bit too much, and that's kind of where I sit. Maybe you guys can let me know what you think down in the comments below. I feel like realistically the radio backpack really undermines team play. That is kind of the whole consensus of my video, because I find that working together with randoms and friends is so much more rewarding than just small groups of just wave-based mass murdering, right? So I feel, especially for HQ Conflict, that the backpack radio is just... I know I'm probably going to get flamed in the comments for this. It's a weird opinion, and I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy. I am not a gameplay expert, but the most rewarding thing for me personally is cooperative teamwork. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this video. If you guys haven't already, come check out the 1.5 experimental. I haven't been on in probably like a week, ever since Squad dropped its Unreal Engine 5 update, but I'd still love to see you guys out here. There's going to be a big update coming soon. So the more the merrier. Obviously it's PC only, but I hope that you guys can come by, check out all the new things. Hopefully I see you guys out there on the battlefield.